Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a Retroid Pocket Nova, a Retroid Pocket Nova in the sky. Being a creator is a difficult and heroic profession. I was knee-deep in a video about this broken PS3 when something arrived at my house completely unannounced. The Retroid Pocket Nova. Now, I had a choice. Stick to my carefully planned schedule like a responsible little content business man, or immediately abandon everything because a shiny new handheld showed up. It was a gosh darn conundrum, I tell ya. Anyway, the PS3 video is cancelled forever, because this is the Retroid Pocket Nova, and it might be one of the most important handhelds Retroid has ever made. Not because it cured a disease or rescued a child from a well, although I haven't finished testing it fully yet, but because this thing is really, really, really good. So the broken PS3 can sit there and think about what it's done. The Nova is here, and it demands our attention, and today we're gonna give it exactly what it wants. Because I kinda love this thing. Like an irresponsible amount. The Nova uses the Qualcomm QCS8550, which sounds like the serial number on a replacement furnace part, but it's basically a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, the non-phone version of that chip. I'm going to be calling it the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for the rest of this video, by the way. You can get it with either 8GB or 12GB of RAM, and both versions have 128GB of fast UFS 3.1 internal storage, plus a microSD card slot. The 8GB model is $229, while the 12GB model is $269. The display is special. It is a 4.5-inch 4x3 OLED screen, running at 1280 by 960 resolution and up to 120Hz refresh rate. Aw man, this screen is so good. Sit tight, we'll talk about it. There's also a 5000 mAh battery, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.3, it runs Android 13, it weighs this much, and it comes in 7 colors, all scientifically engineered to make you regret whichever one you ordered. Speaking of which, if you want one of these, you can buy it using the link in the thingy below. On the front, we have that big, beautiful OLED screen, a D-pad in the upper configuration, dual sticks in the lower configuration, dual front-facing speakers, some face buttons over here, and then we have Start and Select in the upper position, and Android Home and Back in the lower position. Up top, we have bumpers and triggers, and some extra rebindable buttons up there on each side, and a power button, and volume up and down, and some vent holes for airflow. Underneath, we have a microSD card slot cover that covers the microSD card slot, and a headphone hole, and a USB-C hole for charging and OTG connection and video out and all that good stuff. Around back, we have holes for the air to go in. A while back, I made a video about this, the Amberlic RG476H. This is actually my current main retro handheld right now. I've shown it in almost all my recent retro gaming videos. I freaking love this thing. It turns out that a really good normal retro handheld is exactly the kind of thing I want to grab and game on when I'm in the mood to play normal retro games. Like a normal 40-something-year-old man who still lives with his mom. The Retroid Pocket Nova feels like the Retroid equivalent of that concept. It doesn't have any over-the-top aesthetic weirdness or gimmicks. It's just really, really, really good at what it does do. By which I mean playing games instead of being weird or trying to look cool. It's a simple, flat, horizontal handheld. There's no glass slab across the front, no enormous ergonomic humps. It looks like a game system, a really nice game system, and I love it for that. Retroid sent me the ice blue version, which I'm not usually one for transparent colors, but I am so into this greenish blue that they went with here. However, I really had my heart set on the 16-bit colorway specifically because Retroid now offers additional retro red buttons. I like this ice blue version, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like that one a lot more. That's the one that I ordered after I got this ice blue one in my hands. I immediately realized how much I love it, and I knew that I had to have the retro color version. And that should say a lot. It's not common for me to get a review unit and then order another one just because I want a different color. That should tell you that I like this thing a whole bunch. And also, I'll tell you that I like this thing a whole bunch. They also sell additional ergonomic backplates in each of the colors. You'll probably see another video from me about this thing when that arrives. The size is excellent. It's small enough to feel like a proper retro handheld, but large enough that the controls don't seem crammed together. My thumbs don't rub against the sticks. There's space for your hands and fingers. The outer edges are nicely rounded, so the Nova settles into your palms without any corners digging in. That sounds tiny, but tiny details are how handhelds get you. The finest screen ever harvested from the OLED fields means nothing if the shell slowly drills into your hand. And as a sensory snob, I gotta say that the textures that they went with really make my fingers happy. The buttons and the D-pad are smooth and kind of layered plastic, so you can sort of see through them, but they do feel really nice. And the body has this nice subtle sandy texture that, it feels so good. The plastic also looks nice. I've used a lot of transparent handhelds that don't look high quality when you actually see them in person with your eyeballs. This one looks like first-party Nintendo quality or something. It's really, really nice. And obviously we need to do a pocket test, so let's see what my temp thinks about this thing. Hey TechDweeb, that's me, a professional, but also a temp. Oh hey, I'm glad to see your attitude has changed, temp. Yeah, my therapist helped me realize that I shouldn't let myself be bothered by the labels that other people put on me. Well, good for you, but you're still a temp. You got it, TechDweeb. Anyways, let's do the test, and okay, this is interesting. It's bigger than the usual size of doodad that I'd carry around in there, but it's actually pretty good. The sticks aren't super sticky-outy, the triggers aren't so flared that they dig into my leg. I think it's mostly the thinner size, the lack of ergonomic humps that just make it a lot less noticeable in there. I'm gonna give this 7 out of 10 for pocketability. I could actually carry this around. You're such a temp, dude. If you say so, TechDweeb. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. I feel so powerless right now. Maybe I should see that therapist. When it comes to the controls, it's pretty much all good news. The D-pad is great. It's got a slightly clicky but quiet dome switch style input. Feels more or less like the Retroid Pocket 5 and 6 for reference. The input quality is perfect. It's nice and accurate. No issues with wonky diagonals or anything like that. I also like that the D-pad is up top. On a device like this, I'll be playing a lot more retro stuff compared to more modern advanced stick-based stuff. So this is exactly what I choose. The face buttons are also pretty standard Retroid buttons. More or less the same as the RP5 and the 6. Maybe slightly quieter, maybe they have a bit more of a squishy membrane feel. Louder than some other handhelds I have, but they're not super loud or anything. Same thing with the bumpers, by the way. More or less the same kind of sound and loudness. The Hall effect sticks have good range, return cleanly to center and feel accurate. Because the left stick is below the D-pad, this isn't an ideal layout for modern dual stick games, but it's fantastic for retro stuff. Overall, the buttons and the sticks and the triggers are great, as you'd expect. We also get some extra buttons. These buttons up here are programmable M buttons. You can't set these to just anything though. They can only mimic the face buttons and the triggers. So you can't bind these as like unique extra functions in RetroArch or whatever. I don't intend to use these much, so I just set these both to be the Android back buttons. And one very nice surprise was the rumble. I usually turn off rumble on handhelds, but here, I love it on. It actually feels like a full proper controller rumble. Maybe even better than that. And now we come to the screen. Holy jeez, you guys, this screen is mind-blowingly good. The Nova has finally cracked the code. Retroid managed to get a 4x3 120Hz OLED screen, and it's kind of a game changer. Being OLED as you'd expect, the colors are rich and saturated and the blacks are pure dark inky black. The 1280 by 960 resolution is a great fit for upscaled 3D systems. Lots of older pixel art systems scale perfectly, and even those that don't, we have enough pixels here that it's not much of a problem. Even a simple interpolation shader will make it visually feel exactly like pixel perfect integer scaling. It gets bright enough for outdoor use, but it can also get extremely dim, which I appreciate even more. At minimum brightness, you can play in a dark room and not wake your girlfriend or her weird cat that she acts like she loves more than you, which fills you with deep resentment. The 120Hz refresh rate is nice for lots of reasons. Combined with the faster response time of OLED, it helps the Nova feel super silky, smooth, and snappy. And for retro games, that means you can enable black frame insertion if you're into that. I'm not, I don't care about BFI, but if you do care, you get that here. And of course, if you have games that run at higher refresh rates, you'll get smooth movement there. Game native and Android games can take advantage of that, and it's kind of glorious when you see it. This screen is the reason to get the Nova. It makes the entire handheld make sense. And I don't say that lightly. I say it dweebily. And the sound is actually great. It's nice and loud, deep and bassy. It resonates nice throughout the shell, crisp and clear on the high end, and nice and full and rich on the low end. I mean, I'm not really much of a sound guy. I don't really have the words needed to describe it properly, even. I just know what I like, and I do like this. I like it a lot. The system we have on here is Android 13. Retroid has their own front end and launcher, but I don't use them. It's Android, so you can just install your own stuff. I installed Nova Launcher as my Android front end and ESDE as my gaming front end. And I installed all my own emulators. Of course, we get all the usual system conveniences. You can change the performance mode on the fly. There's 3 to choose from. Several fan options. You can enable the floating icon, which is like an in-game quick access toolbar. You know, the usual Retroid stuff. Oh, and by the way, we get video out on this thing. Plug this bad boy into a TV or monitor, and you can run games at a 4:3 aspect ratio or 16:9. So you can get full screen 4K 60 FPS stuff on here, even though the doodad isn't 16:9. Ambernick, pay attention. This is how you do video output. When it comes to gaming, this is where the Nova becomes a supernova. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Low-end systems are effortless. You can emulate them on a moderately intelligent sandwich. What matters here is how good they feel. And all the retro stuff does look great. It feels amazing, but I mean, that's probably no surprise if you've had a 4:3 device before. Game Boy leaves narrow bars at the sides, while GBA leaves them above and below. The OLED blacks blend into the bezel so that unused space mostly disappears. But 4:3 console games are obviously where this thing shines. They fill the display without stretching or chopping. This thing feels like it was made for this 4:3 retro stuff. Because it was. It was made for that, and it feels like it was made for that. When it comes to higher end stuff, you're going to get the same performance you'll get on the other Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 devices, like the Retroid Pocket 6 or the Odin 2 or the Portal or the Ein Thor. This thing behaves identical to those as far as I can tell, which means you're going to get the vast majority of GameCube and PS2. At around 2x resolution, a huge portion of both libraries plays beautifully, even at the lowest power profile. Problem games remain because emulation keeps us humble, but you won't spend every afternoon switching renderers or whatever just to stagger towards 30 frames per second. This is pretty much a set it and forget it chipset when it comes to GameCube and PS2 at least. Widescreen stuffs are less ideal. You know, a Switch and PSP will be letterbox, and modern Android or PC games may not support 4:3 properly. If those are your priorities, the Retroid Pocket 6 or the Odin 3 makes more sense. However, about PC games, the thing is that lots of PC games do run fine at 4:3 resolutions. If you're running these games in Game Native, you can just set the resolution to match the screen, and then you'll get full screen 4:3 games. Not every game runs this way, but tons do. And this is one of the situations where you'll get full screen 4:3 gaming at 120 Hz, so you can truly enjoy the panel for all it can do. Now, to be honest, this review came together quick. I played the absolute snot out of the Nova for 2 days, so I know how I feel about it, but there's still a few dweeby crevices that I haven't explored yet. Like, I haven't done a proper battery drain test. It has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery and the same chip as the RP6, which has 6,000 milliamp hours, so I'm expecting slightly worse battery life, but still somewhere in the same neighborhood. I also didn't test many Android games. Red Dead Redemption wouldn't install, so compatibility quirks do exist, and I'm not sure to what extent that's going to be a thing here. And I haven't touched custom operating systems like Armada OS or Rocknix yet. I'm curious to see what the experience is like there. This was strictly an out-of-the-box experience. I opened the box, I experienced it. Journalism. So I can't tell you if this will become my favorite handheld or just another expensive resident of Shelf Town. But my first impression is, I freaking love it. It's comfy, the controls are excellent, the screen is breathtaking. It checks basically every box that I have for a premium retro handheld. But I guess the downside is that it's not like, interesting. You know, this isn't a strange dual-screen wizard like the Iron Thor. It's not a gigantic luxury gaming slab like the Portal. It's just an exceptionally good 4x3 handheld with a genuinely special screen. If you mainly want widescreen games like PSP and Switch and Steam, or widescreen patched GameCube and PS2, then get an RP6 or Portal or something similar to those. You'll have a better time with that. But if your thing is classic games on a beautiful 4x3 screen, this thing does that extremely well. And that is my thing. I'll reserve my final judgment until my retail retro colored unit arrives, but this might be it. The one handheld to rule them all. At least for now, until another one shows up next Tuesday probably. And that brings us to the end. Let me know if you have any questions, any videos you'd like me to make with this thing, or just let me know what's going on with you. How you doing? You doing good? Let me know. And that's it from me for today. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.